But I think sometimes we do need to confront these questions. And I begin my conversations with you by referring to the opening statements, the persons who gave the opening statements in Arabic language. They said, we are here because we fear the fragmentations of the country. The question is, fear of what? The fear of the destruction, disintegrations of the country. But the question is, do we have to allow our fear to determine our actions? Certainly no. And I'm not asking you to ignore your fear. Yes, the country is facing a critical moment. The question sometimes people refer to is to be or not to be. But we should not care about it. Doesn't mean you have to ignore it. But we do not have to allow our fear to determine our actions, but how we redirect our fear in a way that allows us to look at ourselves intellectually. We should look at fear as an intellectual exercise, rather than allowing it to determine our actions. This is the first. The second point, and I have been listening to people talking about what is going to happen in 2010, and recently I wrote an editorials, raised so many issues. I got so many positive and negative responses. But I think the important question is not the Sudan is going to be fragmented. The important question is why the people of Southern Sudan have reached this critical moment of having to make a decision or to make a choice between separation and unity. This is the question. It's not the question of the consequences of the separation. If we want to prevent the consequences of the separation of Southern Sudan, then you have to understand why these peoples have reached this critical junction to make that choice between unity and separation. And what I'm going to do, because to help a lot of my countrymen and women, because I think a lot of them have been disappointed, and some of them, I think they've given up. And I think 99% of the people in Sudan, they believe that Sudan is going to be divided. And I think the question, we don't have to answer. The only people who can make their decisions, not all Sudanese peoples, no. The right of self-determination is agreed upon regionally and internationally to allow the people of Southern Sudan to make their decision. So the only people who have that power to make their decisions, the people of Southern Sudan, they have to agree. But what I'm trying to do is to answer a question that I tried to find a response to. Is it possible to make unity desirable and separation manageable? Because as things stand today in Sudan, we don't have a desirable unity. Some people, they call it an attractive unity. It's a misused term. I stopped using it, I think, 6 months ago. I prefer desirable unity because it's a process. Desirable unity. And also, as it stands today, I don't think we're going to have a manageable separation because of so many problems, so many issues we need to confront them. But there is ways to prevent the possibility of unmanageable separation, which may lead to a broader conflict that might engulf not just the country, but maybe the region. So the question is, what do we do? Do we have to sit and wait until 2011? Certainly no. I'll give you some suggestions. And let me know if this is going to help you. One thing I strongly believe in is there is no possibility of a desirable unity now, as things stand today. But for those who advocating the idea of unity. I'm going to give them some suggestions to make unity desirable. First, I think for those who are advocating the idea of keeping the country united, which is not united consensually, I do make a distinction between unity, we are united now, but we are not united consensually. This is a false unity, which needs to be redefined. So my suggestion to those who want to keep the country united, first, they have to acknowledge the historical injustices that were committed in the South and other regions. And what I mean by historical injustices is slavery, forced Arabization and Islamization, discriminations, displacements. These issues need to be acknowledged and recognized. And I think for my colleagues who came from Sudan, I think people of Southern Sudan could forgive those who committed crime in the end, and they've been abused, but they could not, I think, and they have, and I think they should have, to forget these things happen. But I think people of South Sudan, they could forgive. We can forgive, but we cannot forget what happened. But to that, in order to initiate that process, then those who committed this crime need to acknowledge these historical injustices. The second is we have to gain our perceptions about each other. We do have a misperception about ourselves. How people in the north, they look at people in the south, how people in the south, they look at people in the north. And also you have to remember what you see, what you believe. In order to change what you see, you have to change what you believe. And that is educational process. We have to go through it. And certainly resolving the conflict in Darfur. No one is a